Hello and welcome to Ask the Experts. This is a wonderful show where we're going to get going for our dreams. Tonight we have with us Dillon and Ricki McKenna, Lady Lou, and myself, Marian. Hi, everybody.
Hello. Oh, we are so tickled to be here tonight. It's just, we've been laughing ever since we got on before the show, so we know this is going to be a fun show. So, welcome, Ricki. Ricki McKenna is filling in for us tonight because Ilene is our expert, and we just like to have four folks on our screen to round it out. Ricki is a certified nutritionist and a certified life coach. So she's got lots of good stuff going for her. And of course, Ilene, oh my goodness, she is our emotions expert. We are so tickled to have you, Ilene, because we love what you teach and what you have shown us, Marian and I especially. And Ricki's been on some of your classes. So you're wonderful. So anyway, I'm Lady Lou, the baby boomer babe, and we're all here to talk about emotions and going for your dreams. How many of you have dreams? I got dreams all over the place, and I know all of us do at some point. If you don't have some dreams, it's time, get some, because we've got a new year coming up. So Ilene, tell us how you're going to tell us how to our go for our dreams. We are excited to know.
I'm going to tell you how I'm going to tell you. That's good. Okay. Well, you know what strikes me, at least on some of my more esoteric people that I know, are saying that right now in history, right now is the time for us to really clarify what our dreams are.
Yes.
And that we need to set them into motion, to have them come true. We need to imagine them in great detail and allow ourselves to feel what we will feel like when we have the payoff. You know, preparing for this program, Lou, I started thinking about times when I had dreams. And for example, when I was 15, I read a book by Pearl Buck called The Good Earth. Mm-hmm. And it was all about a transition from feudal China into more modern times. And I loved the whole thing with China. And I remembered years later that during the time I was reading it, there was part of me that was going, man, I would really like to see China for myself. This really sounds interesting. Well, it took 40 years. I met my third husband, Bob, and he was just coming out of a divorce, and I had just college educated my second child, and neither of us had any money, right? And we were going to get married and maybe spend 3 days in Mexico for a honeymoon. Mm-hmm. And then a few weeks before that time, some doctors in China contacted my husband. My husband was a doctor, and he had helped some of their children to perfect their applications for pharmacy school or medical school or whatever. And the people in Beijing were celebrating the 10th anniversary of the China Rehabilitation Research Institute. And the Chinese, in my experience anyway, are really great about paying their debts. So several of them invited my husband to come to China at their expense for this meeting, right? They said, you get yourself here, we'll take care of you for 2 weeks, right? And my husband came to me and he said, I don't know, do you think we ought to go? And I said, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so he wrote them and said, well, you know, it's the time of my honeymoon, but my wife-to-be also gives speeches. He was invited to give a talk. And they said, by all means, bring her. She can do a speech too. So in exchange for each of us doing a speech about rehabilitation, we had 2 weeks in China. And it wasn't until I got home we got to stay. The Chinese doctors took really good care of us for about a week and a half. I ate snake. I drank motai. I, learned about hot pots, Mongolian hot pots. I had turtle soup, sea turtle soup, and all kinds of things that were new to me. And then I remembered once I got home, hey, I set that into motion 40 years ago.
Wow.
That I wanted to go to China. And look how it happened. I lived my dream. Right?
That's beautiful.
So why did it take so long?
Well, probably, number one, because I remember when I was in the spiritualist church, they said, you can tell God what you want, but you can't tell him or her when.
Oh.
So it's all on God's time or the universe's time or whatever. I probably could have also focused more on it, which could have had it happen sooner. But I really didn't believe that was possible. I didn't believe in my dreams.
Yeah. You didn't know how it would happen. You didn't know if it would happen.
No idea. But I did remember how open I was when I was 15 reading it, going, oh, I love this. I would love to see this. Oh my gosh, So.
Well, I am prepared because I do want my dreams to come true, and I'm ready for my big dreams. I'm ready. 2021 is going to be a fantastic year. I just know it. I can feel it, and I believe in my dreams. So they're going to come faster than 40 years. I'm telling you.
Well, I think I may have told you and Lou, Marian, this story years ago at the end of the Vietnam War in the late 60s. I got a job at the Army Education Center at the Presidio in San Francisco. And I was giving psychological tests to people who were about to muster out of the Army. And the Army wanted to make sure they had some idea of what they could do when they got out of the Army. Well, nobody was supervising me, so I got to do it my way. I would give the people the tests, and then I would call them in for the results. And my way was to, before I gave them the results, I would ask them, what's your dream? Do you have a dream of what you'd like to do when you get out of the Army? And everybody had a dream. They had a dream of a house and a white picket fence. One person had a dream of a ranch with horses. Another one had a dream of going to college. Another one, everybody had a dream. And the other interesting thing, when I shared their scores with them, their dream was usually in alignment with the test results. It was the kind of thing they needed to be doing. But here was the kicker. Within 5 minutes, to a person, everybody started telling me why they could not have their dream. They didn't have enough money. They didn't have a person. They didn't have the support of their family. They were too old. They were too young. They weren't educated enough. You name it. They had a reason why they couldn't have their dream. And it made it really poignant to me. I started noticing how many of us don't let us ourselves have our dreams. We put our own limitations in the way.
Yeah.
So let me tell just quickly, one of the things that I did, I was a single parent, and I thought, I don't want my children to be limited like this when they grow up. So how could I get them, even though they're in little bodies and they're limited, how could I get them to realize that they can have their dreams? And I came up with this notion of filling my children's dreams for their birthday. My son was about to turn 4, and I went to him and I said, if you could have anything for your birthday, what would you like to have? And he said, I want to fly a jet plane.
At 4.
And so here I am, a single parent. I didn't have a lot of money. And I thought, well, that's interesting. He was not talking about getting on an airliner and going as a passenger. He was talking about flying a plane.
Yeah.
And so I didn't quite know. Now, this was, he was born in 1977. So this is 1981. We didn't have Homeland Security at that time. So I wasn't sure what what would happen, but I was hoping something would work out. And I talked with a few people. And I had a friend who owned a light plane that was kept at a small airport near where I lived, right? And she came to me one day and said, "You still want your son to fly a plane? I know it's not a jet plane, but I have a light plane, and I have a friend, a woman, who is a flight instructor, and she will take your son up in my plane, and he can fly the plane," right?
Oh, beautiful.
So for his 4th birthday, he piloted that plane across the Golden Gate Bridge.
I love it. That's beautiful.
Well, he's 43 now, and I wish you could listen to him. He's putting together business deals and so forth. The sky is the limit. He's here in our house putting things together when he can't even see people, and he's doing it around the world or whatever. It definitely removes these limitations that you have in your mind. So, Marian, when you're thinking about what you want this year, make it as outrageous and as think as big as you possibly can. I think that's really key.
I've
Do you
always
think
heard.
we need help with that? Do you think we need someone to guide us through to make sure that we're dreaming as big as we can? Because aren't we limited by our silly little minds?
Well, yes. I would also advocate, however, that we co-create. Yes, we could have somebody help us, but how about we put ourselves to work? I was thinking, you're friends with Joe Vitale, Lou, and about a year and a half ago, I was in my van and reading one of his books, and he was talking about creating what you want in your life. And I realized, and I'd never seen this before, I'm already in my 70s, right? I realized I don't envision very much what I want, because as a kid, when I was growing up, anytime I identified as something was mine, it was taken away from me.
Oh.
So it didn't even bother, right? And that's, Marian, that's one of the reasons that we don't, we have these subconscious issues that, either we got in trouble for doing what we wanted, or we had it taken away, or we were told we're not capable, or something. And those are the things we really need help with, I think.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
As a coach, I would definitely agree with that, Ilene. I've seen that happen and heard it happen.
Well, I've often heard that dream big or plan big because small does not serve us.
Well, the way I heard it was, to just add to that, was you're going to work as hard for small as you work for big. So why not go for big?
I'm for that. So what next dream do you have coming up, Ilene?
Oh, my goodness. Oh, I am just shocked. Well, my big ongoing dream is a book a year. So I published 2019, I published Emotions in Motion, this one, right? And in 2020, I took part in this one.
Yeah,
and
the bestseller.
Yeah, this is an international and national bestseller, the Wellness Universe Complete Guide to Self-Care. Anyway, it's on Amazon, and Guide to Complete Self-Care. And
Ilene, can you hold that book back up again?
Sorry.
Ah, there you go.
Now we can really see it.
I love that.
I have been reading that, Ilene, and there is some absolute wisdom in there. Your chapter is wonderful.
It is.
Thank you. Thank you. And this is a series of books, and Ricki, you're participating in the next one, as am I, which is Self-Care About Happiness. And the name of my chapter in that book is The Dalai Lama's Smile.
Nice.
I like it. And so then the next year, I plan to write a book called Turning Anger into Enthusiasm. And I have a whole bunch of books after that. And I really love teaching parenting. And just yesterday, I spoke with a woman in Australia who invited me to teach a series of workshops for different age groups of kids and their parents on conscious parenting, which we'll do next July. So my dream is to stay healthy, keep going and sharing, and have all these things open up without me having to do as hard and complete a work as I have in the past.
Right. And I understand today you read your chapter on Facebook Live. Tell us your Facebook title so that people can go and watch your.
Actually, it's the title of my chapter, which is Emotional Mastery. Hold on one second. Emotional Mastery, Learning Life's Lessons to Create an Amazing Life.
Yes.
And you can find it on the Wellness Universe. Wellness Universe. Everybody who has a chapter, there are 25 of us, is reading their chapter. And it was a wonderful experience. I loved it.
I bet.
So Ilene Dillon at Facebook, is that what they will find, where they'll find that chapter being read?
I don't.
I think that's what it is, Ilene. It's on your website or on your Facebook page.
It is on my, Ilene Dillon. Or
I think it's on the Wellness Universe page as well.
Yes.
Good.
3 or 4 places. Okay, good. Yes.
Perfect.
I don't know. I told you, this is not my forte, doing Facebook Live. I spent 2.5 hours trying to figure it out. This was not my dream. It is not my dream.
But you did it, and doggone it's good. I know it's good.
I tell you about traveling in Ireland with my 8-year-old granddaughter in 2013, and I got us lost. We were supposed to go someplace. It was 2.5 hours away. 9.5 hours later, we still weren't there, right? We stayed overnight in a hotel. But I couldn't find the right road. I just kept going around in circles. And finally, somebody led me to the right road, and I got on it, and I started talking with my little granddaughter sitting in the back seat. And I said, oh, well, here's what I learned, because you learn from every experience, right?
Right.
And I said, did you learn anything, Amelia? And she said, yes, Grammy, I did. I learned that when you make up your mind to do something, Grammy, you will get it done.
She knows you well.
That is true. I love it.
That's the way Facebook Live was for me today.
Yeah.
I can relate.
You did it. That's all that counts. You got it done.
I understand you have a free offer. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, the 7 skills of love. There it is. Yes. I'm sorry. I've been doing so many of these things.
You are a busy woman.
Yes. I mean, that's my dream, is to have it. I'm working with people in therapy. And as you know, we taught some classes, and we're working on those, and writing, and I'm blogging, and, it's just fun, really. So the 7 skills of love, yes, is my gift. Most of it turns out that love is both an art and a set of skills, and we usually relate to the art of it, and that's often learned in our childhood. My own learning was deficient, and I had to up the art part. But there are certain skills. There's 7 skills, and there's an order to put those in place when you're loving. And that's what this list is. And I annotated it. I wrote it, to give some explanation. And so it's really helpful if you're either not feeling good about the love in your life, or you're not loving yourself enough.
Oh, that's big.
So to know these skills. And the way the skills work is the steps to getting there are the qualities of being there. So once you know the skills, what you do is you start implementing them one at a time in your life and build them into the fabric. And pretty soon you're full of love. And once you're full of love, and it comes from outside of you. Even if you think you're already full of love, you'll get more love coming in.
And who could use more love? Mm-hmm.
Feeling comforted.
Oh, yeah. Love that.
Sending virtual hugs your way.
Oh, thank you. Yes. Well, that's the key. That's what the chapter in the book is about, is living from the inside out. And that's the tool that I offer. The principle is, and we've talked about this at other times, the principle is that what you have inside of you is what you attract from outside. So we often are telling people we're looking for love. I'm looking for love. I'm looking for. And the way to find love is to start loving your own self. Once you have it inside, love will start looking for you.
Mm-hmm.
That is so true. I have experienced that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, back to dreams. I know Marian has some big dreams. Tell us what you've got cooking, Marian.
Oh my goodness gracious. Somebody told me the other day that they like watching me reinvent myself. And so what am I?
Yes.
Every other week.
Uh-huh. Yes.
Was that Ricki?
I think so.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess whatever interests me, I go down that path for a while. And if it doesn't turn out, I'm okay with it. And I just go with plan B, or I find another interest, and the other one just falls away. And so that might upset a lot of people. But for me, it's just a new experience. I was talking to Steve Baker today from Baker Seniors. He has a show where he helps people with Medicare and all the different insurance for people over 65. And I was telling him that I had a consignment store, and he goes, "A consignment store? Is there anything you haven't done, Marian? You were a truck driver, and you did all these things." And I thought about it for a minute, and I thought, I guess whatever feels good at the time, I do go for it. I do.
But that brings up a wonderful thing that I wanted to talk about in having your dreams, Marian. That's so beautiful what you have there. And that is that my understanding is that we've all come to the earth in order to explore, each of us in our own way. Ultimately, we're exploring love and not love. That's the bottom line basis of it. But we're exploring, and the way we explore is by having experiences. Now, what you have just described is a normal way of operating when you're a young teen, when you're 12, 13 years old. I love this group and I'm doing everything with them, and I have all their posters or whatever. I collected all their music. And then you don't see the kid for a couple of weeks and you go, well, how's that group? Oh, I'm not into them anymore, right? So it seems a bit fickle, but the whole point is that you don't have to hold on to something for a long period of time in order to have the experience of it, right? And so that's a wonderful childlike, not childish, but childlike quality that you have, that you can go, well, let's try this. Okay, well, this doesn't happen. No, okay, so we're going over here. It's really wonderful. And it's one of the things that a lot of people learn to shut down. They think, oh, it's not very mature, or they get in trouble for it. A lot of parents don't understand the need to do that sort of thing. So you still have this wonderful ability. And I think it fits right in with the whole plan of us coming to the earth to explore.
Ilene?
Hi, look, we have somebody waving hi.
Hello,
Hyatt.
Hi, Hyatt.
Ilene, on that note, I'll be speaking to a group of seniors tomorrow at a senior center in Houston. And my talk is entitled Imagine Nutrition. And I'm basing it on the fact that we don't use our imaginations once we're beyond a certain age, or we don't really appreciate the fact that we can still use them. And we can imagine something in the future, something that we really like to have. How do you feel about that?
Oh, I feel sad.
Yeah.
I saw you react that way too. I mean, that's a sad comment. I'm of the opinion that I'm alive for as long as I'm alive, and that means continuing to live my life the way I've been living it all my life, like you were talking about, Marian, going forward.
Exactly.
Right? And so that's the sadness right there. But the whole idea of using your imagination, when you said that, I thought, well, there are a number of things. I remember seeing a television series. It had Jane Fonda and, I can't remember. Anyway, it was about two women getting older, right?
Oh,
And
Frankie and Grace.
Frankie and Grace, yes.
And Frankie.
Yes. And so they get into a nursing home finally, or extended, living home.
Yes.
And they're used to doing all kinds of things, staying up all night or cooking all night or whatever it is that they do, drinking a lot. And suddenly they're in this living situation where everything is forbidden because they might hurt themselves.
Yes.
So they don't have a stove, and they can't keep their instruments for doing art in the room because they're too dangerous, right? Do you remember that?
Oh boy.
Yeah. And so there's a certain sadness. I remember reading about getting older, that in this culture we treat getting older as a medical issue.
Yes.
And it's not a medical issue. So what do we do when we want to help people toward the end of their lives? We put them in a medical setting, and we have nurses and nurse assistants take care of them. And so nobody's looking at what's happening in their heart or what's happening
exactly
to them in their lives. And that's something you're bringing, which is really, really wonderful. And the big message is you're alive till you're not. So step into it,
And that's the thing. I hope to inspire them I know they've got dreams that have never come true or that they haven't quite achieved, and they've kind of put them on the back burner or, buried them someplace in the past. And what I'm hoping to do with this talk is let them know exactly that you're alive, and while you're alive, you live it.
Right.
And there's nothing that's really impossible. There's always a way. And this is my feeling, that if you truly, really, 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 really want something, put it out there and the universe works upon it.
Well, I agree with you, but I'm wondering, as people get older in the situations like I was just describing, if they really, 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 really want anything, right? Or have we given up on, like that time has passed, I can't do that anymore. That was a dream I had. But I would suggest that many of those people weren't going for their dreams in the first place.
Yeah.
And so the real issue is how do you want to end your life? You guys have heard me say that when I assessed this in my early 70s, I thought, well, it's sort of like standing on third base in a baseball game, and I'm the runner on third, and I have to run into home base. That's what getting older and dying is all about, And so I have to go into home base. How do I want to do it? Do I want to slide in on my face or go in standing up? I decided I wanted to go in standing up.
Absolutely. Yep.
Well,
I'm too old to slide.
Screaming and kicking, somebody said, and enjoying every minute.
That's right. Sometimes I reflect on my life and I think back, my 20s were this and they were fun. My 30s were very interesting and then we did this or that. And my 40s were very interesting too. And then my 50s came along and I had a whole different set of interests and work and everything. And then the 60s came along and oh boy, the big celebration at 65. The 60s were very interesting to live through. And now that I'm in my mid 70s, the 70s are even more interesting. I can't wait for the 80s. Bring them on. I'm happy.
Well, we have certainly we've advanced in that way. And when we
Yes.
talk about living our dreams, we're now, because we believe in medicine, a lot of us are believing we have the dream that we can live longer. But we maybe haven't, Ricki, caught up with our dreams by knowing that we can still live just as fully longer.
That's the point. Yes, that's how I feel. Yeah, and it's interesting to me, and see what you think of this. The way Marian, and I'm not sure I know as much about Louise as I do about Marian, as far as the various things that she's done in her life. And I never drove a truck other than once from Houston to Colorado, but I did race cars, and I did a whole bunch of different things. I taught art. A whole variety of different things. And I took advantage of those opportunities. And I see Marian doing exactly the same thing in her way. Mm-hmm. And I think everybody does that if they are aware of the opportunities. This is the first thing, I think, is the awareness that there are the opportunities still available, and that why not go for it?
Right. I had a 13-year radio program, and I interviewed a woman named Laura Langemeyer on my program. And she was quite an unusual woman. At the age of 23, she was a fitness person. She helped people with their fitness. And she heard that the oil companies were hiring somebody to set up a fitness program for all the oil derricks down in the Gulf, down near where you guys are. Mm-hmm. And she decided to go for it. And the oil company took all these people around and showed them what would be involved and asked them to set up a plan. And there were maybe 20 some odd people vying for this job, which was worth millions, right? Oh. Wow. And she went for it, and they gave the contract to her. And at the time they gave the contract to her, there was just one of her. There was something like 15 or more oil derricks, so she couldn't even get the platform. Yeah. She couldn't go around to that many by herself. So instead, she went to the other people who had applied for the job and asked them if they would work for her. Right?
Smart.
This is how she did it. Right. And her whole message on my program was, anytime you have an opportunity to do something, just say yes.
Yeah. Yes, I agree with that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is a very interesting concept. And so I hope by telling the story that anybody that's watching this will understand what it is that we're saying here by just saying yes. Okay, so I want my dream through the Mary Morrissey program was I wrote it all out. I wanted to have a camper van, and I wanted to be able to travel. And in order to continue working, I needed, good, strong internet. And so I laid it all out. I laid it out exactly which kind I wanted, and how I was going to do it, and where I was going to go this time of year, and how I was going to be able to see my daughter in Michigan during the summer. And I had it all mapped out, right? And I thought to myself, well, Marian, how are you going to do that? I mean, you don't have the money. I was living paycheck to paycheck. But I didn't say no. I thought, well, how is it possible? So then my mind started trying to find out ways that it would be possible. Well, I could start working more online. Well, I could get a sponsor. Well, and my mind just started helping me come up with ways that it could be possible. If I were to just say, well, I don't have the money, and that's a big dream, but that's all it's going to be, right? Mm-hmm. No.
See, that's what I learned from those people after the Vietnam War. I realized that, usually we think, oh, well, it's creating my dreams. That's the work. That's not really where the work is. The work is getting all the stuff in between you and your dreams out of the way. All the stuff that you tell yourself, or that you accept, or that you allow to block you. That's the real work.
Proclaim it and claim it, says Hyatt.
Yes. I like it.
Thank you.
That I love.
Thank you.
There's just so much that we can do if we use our own mind. And so many people shut down when they hit 65. Oh, I'm over the hill.
Yeah.
I don't think so. What is the 60s are the new 40s? Isn't that how they say it?
Oh, that's nice.
So I'm only in my 50s, even though I'm over 75 here. But
Yep.
I don't intend to be an old codger. I don't act like an old codger. I don't think like an old codger. I don't even move like an old codger. But I should if I'm 75. I'm over the hill, far over the hill.
Well, you know what?
And I was
when you get over the hill, there's a slide over there.
That's
You can
a
go,
good one.
woo!
when I was about 74, I guess I started out in my van, and my daughter was a professor at a junior college teaching speech and communications. And she asked her students one day, she said, I have a mother who's in her 70s, and we all have stereotypes and ideas about what people are like as they get older. So my mom is 74. I'd like to hear your idea of what you think she's doing with her life.
Oh,
Right?
great.
And almost to a person, they said, oh, she's got a little rocking chair and she's got a comfortable place and she knits and all this. And my daughter said, not my mom. She's got a 24-foot van, a little dog. She travels around the United States. She's writing books and giving speeches. And they went, whoa!
Yeah, it's the stereotypes that we've been kind of bombarded with for so many decades.
Yes, and what's important about that is we accept those stereotypes for ourselves,
Yeah.
right? And we don't want to keep doing that.
Okay, so the other day, somebody,
I have a different life anyway. Yes, Marian, sorry.
I was talking to somebody and they said something about age. I don't remember exactly. And I said, oh, I'm 62. And she was, oh, well, you don't act 62. Like that was like so old, she goes, well, you have such a young, vibrant, action about you. And I
Yep.
thought, it's 62, I'm just getting started. Are you kidding me?
Well,
But
we need
it's
to
really old.
we need to keep in mind that we've just had a clear day president, the oldest president we've ever had. He's 5 days older than me, right? I thought I was doing well, but I'm not taking on the presidency of the United States. So my hat's off to him for.
Maybe you should.
There's a big example. You might not agree with his politics or anything, but he's a great example. He's not slowing down at 78.
Yep.
Hyatt says he's the baby here at 73.
You are.
I could have been your babysitter, Hyatt.
You know what I love? Just think about that statement. Because the four of us are in not Marian, but no, Marian's the baby here. But the three of us are in our 70s, and it's just a number.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's when I hit my 70th birthday, which was 6 years ago, I looked at the thing and said, huh? Literally, I remember looking at some paper where I was filling out some sort of form, and I had to put I don't remember, but I had to put my age in, and I wrote, what? Is that me?
Let me just put one more thing out here. On my radio program, I interviewed a woman who was a professor at Yale, and she had done a study on people getting older. I think you guys have heard this. But her idea was that we believe all the things that we hear.
Oh.
Okay. And so what do we hear in our culture? You get old, you lose your memory. You get old, you get stiff, whatever. These things that are said all the time.
Yeah.
So she set up this computer program which would flash people's pictures on a screen. And she went to 3 different communities. She went to China, where older people are revered. She went to the deaf community where they couldn't hear all this stuff, and deaf and older people are more revered. And she went to Boston, Massachusetts to regular. And she she did this test for people 25 and under and 65 and older, right? What she would do is the picture would flash on the screen, and then the subject would be asked to repeat the sequence, right? So in China, there was no statistical difference between the older and the younger people. None. The older people remembered as well as the younger people. In the hearing, in the deaf community, there was about a 2.5% difference. But in Boston, there was about a 40% difference.
Oh.
Right? Because whatever we hear over and over again is what we believe. And so I just want to point out that if somebody's listening has a dream and they think they're too old for it or whatever, if you keep repeating to your mind, this is what I'm doing, I'm fully alive, I'm just as capable as I've ever been, I'm as capable as anybody in this world, this is what I want, this is going to come easily to me. If you keep telling yourself those things, they will be so.
Yes.
Well, Hyatt says, too many people ask me, what are you doing in your retirement? And he says, I'm not. And they're surprised.
Hyatt, I haven't had the good sense to retire.
Why do I want to retire?
What's that?
What does that mean?
Retirement.
What does that mean? It used to be that, you know, like my uncle, he died when he was 50, and I was very young at the time. And I remember thinking, oh my God, 50 years old. That was pretty old, you know. If I make it to 50, wow. Well, 50 came and went, and it was like, oh, that wasn't very old.
Yeah, right.
You know?
That was just the beginning.
I just don't, I think we're totally past that.
I hope so.
That idea that by the time you're 60, you're going to retire.
Right.
I was shocked when I got my AARP at 50.
I gave it as a birthday present to a friend of mine. She was mad at me. But this question that Hyatt asked, you know, the whole idea of retirement is like, it assumes that you're not living the life that you want to live in the first place, right?
There you go.
So you retire, you stop doing what you're doing that you thought you had to do for all these years. And in my case, I've been working for myself for 50 years. I don't retire because I'm still doing what I love to do, which I've been doing for 50 years, you know. And that's an interesting attitude for all of us to have is what did I love doing all my life, and how do I allow myself to keep doing it?
Yeah, I like that. Ilene, something I've just been thinking about is for those folks watching us or who will watch us later on the replays, they're going to say, well, I don't have, how do I know what my dreams and things are? How do I keep staying young? I think it would behoove them to find a partner or 2 or 3 partners, start a mastermind, start a coffee class, a lunch group or something. Find like-minded people that you can identify with, you can dream with, maybe become best friends, find a new mate, who knows? Who might be attracted to your group. But it's about the community. The 4 of us, we have just gravitated. Ricki's the one who introduced us to Ilene in the first place. She met her on a trip. And we have just bonded, all 4 of us. We just feel like we've known each other forever. And I think that's part of the clue, is to bond with others who are like-minded.
Yes. And to be open to that. Because I've seen people who kind of huddle in their obscurity, in a sense, and there seems to be either a fear or not the knowledge to go out and where do I meet people? And I think that online has given a lot of people the opportunity to meet others.
Right. There's one more thing that you bring up, both of you, with this, and that is how many people know what they want. Okay, I can't tell you how many therapy sessions I've been paid for by people, and the bottom line issue is that they don't know what they want and they don't go for it. Just for an example, I had a young woman come to me. She was depressed. She was on medication. She was having trouble with her roommates, et cetera, et cetera. Now, in her growing up years, her mother was ill. And she dedicated herself. The mother was a single mother. So this child dedicated herself to taking care of her mother. She never paid attention to herself. She didn't know what she wanted. And the cure for her was, I said to her one day, "So what do you want?" And she looked at me and she said, I don't know. So we helped her to develop an idea of what she wanted. And in the beginning, it can be as simple as you're standing there and you go, well, what do I want? And you can't think of it. And you stand there. And after a while you go, well, I think I want to sit down now. Right? It can be that simple.
Yeah.
One step at a time.
Exactly. It's funny. It reminds me of Harrison Ford in the movie where he was going across an empty chasm, and as he put each foot out, the rocks rose to meet him.
Oh, wow.
Just go. Just take the step. It's that first step that's the hardest one. And once you start that.
Lady Lou has talked to me quite a few times and to other people and said, if you don't know what you're good at or you don't know what you want, ask your friends, ask your family.
Good point. Very good point.
They will tell you what they think you're good at. It doesn't mean you have to stick with that, but yeah.
It's an idea.
We have run out of time.
Oh,
yeah, we could talk for 2 more hours and still have plenty more to do. Stories and ideas about how to create our dreams and go for it. I wrote down dreams for 2021, and over the next week or two, I'm going to be writing my dreams down and getting it down from here and my heart onto paper so that I can look at it.
That's great. That's great. I want to make time to do that. Also, I'm so excited about what I'm doing now. I have to slow myself down enough.
Oh, well, we just appreciate you so much, Ilene. You have given all of us such beautiful stuff to work with in our own inner being. And that's a beautiful gift. So we thank you for being here. And Ricki, thank you for being here too.
Yes, Ricki.
And Marian is best. We appreciate everything Marian does. So I'll let you take it out for us, if you would, Marian.
Well, I want you to remember that Ilene has given you a free offer, and it's down below. If you're listening to us on the podcast, there's a little comment section down below every video, and even underneath the podcast. So be sure and check it out. It's the 7 Skills of Love. If you go to emotionalmasteryforlife.com, I'm sure you'll be able to see a lot more. And we appreciate you for coming to watch and hang out with us tonight. We appreciate you. We want you here. We want you asking questions. We want you interacting with us. And actually, we do have a couple more people in the audience. So let's say hi to Karen.
Hi, Karen.
Karen.
Hi, Karen.
Hyatt, thanks for all your comments today.
Thank you, Hyatt.
Dream it and live it. And Hyatt says thanks. He loves us.
Thank you, Hyatt.
Yeah, I appreciate everybody. Good night. Have a good one. We'll see you again.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays.
Please share our show.